Hello, I'm Rob, and welcome to day 2 of a set of daily devotions which focus on our guiding core values as a church as we step forward into whatever God has for us in the future. Today, we're considering our second core value that God has placed on our hearts as a church. Worship God with all of your hearts, souls, minds, and strength. People often think of worship as an outward religious activity, but the truth is that true worship begins within us and then spills out in an overflow of love for God. Worship is adoration, and what is adoration other than wholehearted love? You don't schedule love. If it isn't in your heart and your soul, you can't manufacture it. However, if it is in your heart and soul, you can't stop it. Once you start thinking about it, you can't easily shake it from your mind. You can feel its effects in your body as the strength that gives you a spring in your step. It goes with you wherever you are and fuels you for every task. And that's why worship is a lifestyle lived in response to God, expressed by love in action wherever you are. On the verge of crossing the Jordan into the land of Canaan, Moses, the prophet sent by God to lead Israel into the promised land, reminded them in Deuteronomy chapter 6, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts." You see, if God's commandments are not on our hearts, they're hard to keep and obey. But when He is at the center of our heart and soul, our thoughts and the source of our strength, obedience is merely the natural expression of our love for God. This is true worship, to love God with everything within us, resulting in our loving God in everything that we do. Without love, our sung worship is as jarring as a gong or a clanging cymbal. Without love, our good deeds lose their meaning as an expression of worship, and they're merely an attempt to extort favor from God or avoid His anger. Yet when we sing praise from the depths of our soul, and when we act in the strength of our love for God, our minds made up to do whatever is right for His sake rather than for ours, at that point our worship becomes real and meaningful. And living this way changes everything. Perhaps God will lead us into a new situation, a new challenge, or a new mission field in our next chapter as a church. But one thing must remain the same, no matter what changes. Our wholehearted love for God must remain as the fuel that drives everything we say and do. Our worship of God is the fuel of our mission, the strength that empowers our obedience. And without love, we are nothing as a church. Without love, our worship is meaningless. But with the love of God at the center of who we are and what we do, we are unrestrained, emboldened, unstoppable. What about you? Is your heart full of love for God, your soul deeply enriched by Him, your mind filled with wild thoughts of His wonders, and your strength found in a life of relationship with Him? If not, can I suggest to you that nothing else is nearly as important to focus your heart and your mind and your soul and your strength on? God is the reason you are alive. He is the source of all true joy. Will you seek to know Him and to love Him above all else? As you reflect on this, you'll find a link in the description below to a song that I've chosen to help you meditate on this most vital relationship that you'll ever have. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.